and, I mean, it's.
Yeah, no, because it used to be,
Yeah.
eventually with the mics on the podium, you know what I mean? It's just the elevators and stuff.
All right, you want to let them know that we're good to go?
No, you're fine.
Good.
All right.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We wanted to just let the media know that we decided to hold this briefing ahead of our regular council time because while we've been working on this for 11 months, since January 15th of this year, there are many complex parts of it. There's a lot of material, and we wanted to take this time to focus on some of the more important highlights and let you know why we feel it's ready to roll out to the public at this point. I'm not going to go through all of the details of what got us here. I'll turn that over to Colin McEwen, our communications manager, who's here and who will give you press packets, and we'll all be here to answer questions later. But I am happy to say that an agreement has been reached to move forward on providing health care here in Lakewood for generations to come. To become a reality, it has to be approved by City Council, and while this is on first reading, this agreement is between Lakewood Hospital Association, the Cleveland Clinic, and the city. And we, City Council, have to approve it before it's a reality. Now, before I turn this over to Mayor Summers and my colleagues here on council, who are all here, I want to say that it has been an intense and electrifying 11 months. There are many elements of this agreement were announced back in January, and then while we were doing our due diligence and our research, throughout our negotiations, we've had an election, during which time some of the issues got muddied, sometimes there was a lot of confusion and it entered into the political realm, but we are here tonight unified to talk to you about this agreement. For 11 months, nearly 11 months to the day, this hardworking City Council has educated themselves on health care, locally, statewide, and nationally. We've heard from experts. We have heard from our constituents weekly and sometimes every other day. And we've certainly heard from all the people who care very much about Lakewood and love Lakewood and want to see Lakewood's momentum and future strong and healthy. We've been given the decision of making the best possible, we've been given the job of making the best possible decision for our constituents now and for our constituents in the future. And I can say fully that this council took our job very seriously. We made a decision that we are ready to roll out and share with our constituents. We are finally ready to bring this forward tonight, and we're glad you're here and we'll help tell the story of how we got here. It has been a long time coming. I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Summers, and then you'll hear from the members of City Council.
Thanks, Council President Madigan. Well, tonight is a vital step in a long path towards meeting two goals. One, meeting the health care needs of our citizens, and two, creating a health care delivery system that remains viable both near-term and long-term. Negotiations to develop and transform health care for Lakewood's second century have been vigorous and they've been diligent. And I'm very proud of my colleagues on City Council and in the administration for the hard work that they've engaged in and the focus that they've maintained throughout this process with the goal of making sure we get the best outcome for the citizens of Lakewood. We have learned a great deal about healthcare over the past year. It is a complex subject with a lot of variables to it. We are determined to do a better job of making sure that the facts lead us at this phase of our communication and conversation with our community. It is far too important to allow emotions to get in the way of facts. At the end of this briefing, each of you will be given a press kit that will provide a solid overview of the proposal and all the pertinent facts that support it. And we will be posting all these items on our website, onelakewood.com, tonight, along with any additional details that come out of this evening at the City Council meeting. I would like to turn this meeting back over to Council President Madigan and the members of Council so that each can say a few words about the parts of the agreement that are important to them. Please be aware that we will have time at the end of this conversation to have a brief Q&A, but no doubt this is the beginning of many conversations over the next week or two that will allow you to get all the information you need, and we're committed to sharing that robustly with you, and look forward to that.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor. Vice President of Council, Ryan Nowlin.
Thank you, President Madigan. It is hard to imagine Lakewood without the hospital in its current form. But after countless hours of consideration of the transition of our hospital, it is clear to me that this proposal represents the only way to ensure the uninterrupted delivery of emergency healthcare services in our city. From the moment that the original letter of intent was introduced this past January, I've been thinking about the very real danger that Lakewood could end up with a worst-case scenario. No emergency room and an empty shell of a building at the corner of Bell and Detroit. I am convinced that if we do not consider this proposal, we will end up with that worst-case scenario. The hospital has a rich history in Lakewood, and we have to think about how our residents can receive the best health care, both now and in the future. I look forward to a conversation with our neighbors about why this proposal is necessary today, and how Lakewood will move forward to the next generation of health care in our city. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Ward 2, City Councilperson Sam O'Leary.
Thank you. This new agreement funds our future and a vibrant new downtown district. Specifically, this agreement means the Cleveland Clinic will invest $34 million in a new modern family health center and emergency department, replacing an office building that is only 25% occupied currently. Demolishing the old parking garage is part of the agreement, which spares Lakewood taxpayers close to $5 million in repairs that were pending. The clinic will also provide $7 million to be used as the city sees fit to redevelop the land where the hospital currently sits. Our residents have already begun to share their ideas to develop that land into new retail, office, housing, and other opportunities. I look forward to future conversations about how we reinvigorate our downtown commercial corridor for the 21st century. Thanks.
Ward 3, City Councilperson Sean Juris.
Thank you, President Madigan. Again, my name is Sean Juris. I'm the Ward 3 council member. I'm confident in the outcome that the last 11 months of due diligence and negotiations have produced, which will serve our community well. The citizens of Lakewood have been well represented throughout this effort. Any decision that you face is a matter of finding a balance between the costs and benefits or the risks and rewards. We have now struck that balance, which mitigates the risks and maximizes the benefits or rewards. I look forward to taking this step forward so that the full potential of this site can be realized and that we can put to rest the year-long, if not longer, uncertainty that we've been facing within the city. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. A Councilperson at Large, Cindy Marks.
Thank you, Council President. I'm pleased we've reached an agreement to provide uninterrupted healthcare delivery to our residents. The Cleveland Clinic will make the Lakewood Family Health Center a model for population health management in the region and provide a magnet for other businesses keen on doing business in a city committed to changing the culture of health. Now is a great time for residents, businesses, government, and healthcare organizations to work together to create a model city where families and businesses seek to find a home. I'm excited and honored to be a part of this change. Thank you.
Thanks. Councilperson David Anderson from Ward 1.
Thank you for being here, and I apologize for my voice. It's gotten a little cold. I'll be all right. I'm going to go off script a little bit tonight as the council member who might be characterized as being the one most vocal about my criticism of the process and last January's proposal. But I want to make a couple of quick points. This proposed deal is not perfect, but I believe it is fair. I feel it's far stronger for Lakewood than the original letter of intent. The city conceded on some points, the Cleveland Clinic conceded on some points. For example, the clinic now bears the financial risk for the transition of Lakewood Hospital to a family health center and emergency room. This is considerable. I was concerned about the Cleveland Clinic's overall commitment to Lakewood moving forward in the next few decades. By adopting the financial risk of transition and establishing Lakewood's Family Health Center as a true leader in its network, I believe the clinic's commitment is strong. Also, ensuring Lakewood residents have access to needed healthcare services does not begin and end with this ordinance. This will require the continued and consistent effort of City Council, the administration, and all Lakewood residents. Partnering on oversight, service lines, needs, assessments, continuous improvement is critical, and that's the work that lies ahead of us for many, many years to come. Nobody wants this hospital to close. However, the all too real risk is that it will close with nothing to replace it. But to classify the Cleveland Clinic's proposal as better than nothing is unfair. This is a real substantial commitment in money, time, talent, and energy to our city. And I believe that the residents for decades to come will reap the benefits of it. So let's work together to make this new step in Lakewood healthcare delivery the best that it can be. Thank you very much.
Thanks. At-large councilperson Tom Bullock.
Good evening. Thanks for your attention tonight. After 11 months of deliberation, after thoroughly and impartially weighing volumes of evidence, after hearing from hundreds of citizens and a large number of experts, City Council is ready to move forward. Today, we can say with confidence to the community that we have negotiated an even stronger deal, free partner deal, the best available under the circumstances, and that we are ready to move forward to implement a plan that will provide for Lakewood residents for years to come at a convenient downtown location the healthcare services used by 94% of Lakewood Hospital patients, plus add even more services while continuing emergency care uninterrupted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you're a patient in Lakewood, that's good news. And if you're a taxpayer in Lakewood, that's also good news, because this deal protects against Lakewood Hospital becoming a costly, empty building that would drag on economic vitality and would cost $7 to $10 million to demolish. And for all Lakewood residents, this deal is good news because it provides funds to redevelop the hospital site and secures community control over what happens there. So we can replace lost economic activity, at least partly, with a mix of new retail, new office, and new residential development while preserving historic buildings and reinventing our downtown. In 2 to 3 years, leaving a costly, empty building that taxpayers would be stuck paying for. And second, it would leave Lakewood without outpatient medical and emergency services in its downtown. I would consider such a decision to be rash and unrealistic and wishful thinking. To allow that to happen would be an irresponsible violation of my oath of office to serve Lakewood citizens. Today's good news. You can see that council's worked hard, and we're united, we're ready to move forward. Madam President,
Thank you. Thanks, Councilor Bullock.
Lakewood City Council will now take questions.
The timing on this is obviously because of tomorrow's lawsuit and the proceedings that are supposed to happen. Is this your attempt to get in front of that and hopefully they're able to make a decision as they go into court tomorrow?
No, and Mayor, please join me up here, and Council join in. No, this is not trying to get out ahead of the lawsuit. This is 11 months of diligence and research and trying to make the best decision, and that's what this council's done.
So tonight's just a coincidence that
No.
it happens?
Tonight is the result of 11 months of hard work and getting here and finally feeling like we have a product to be able to bring to our constituents. It is after 11 months of hard work.
So from our perspective, we sort of see three sides to this, with the work that you folks are doing, what the clinic is trying to do, and then you've got the folks that are standing in the hallway, the people who are bringing the lawsuit. How do you expect them to view this side, what's being pushed tonight? What do you hope they see in this?
My colleagues will help on this too. Our neighbors who are out there in the hallway, they love Lakewood just as much as we do. We love Lakewood just as much as they do. We have been listening to them, they've been listening to us. We don't agree on everything, but we're all looking for what's better for the next generations of Lakewood, and starting tonight. We'll work with them. I think Councilman Anderson said that this is the time for us all to move forward and to try to work together on this. But this is not because of anything else other than this is the culmination of 11 hard works of this council and work before that with Lakewood Hospital Association.
You know, in addition, the healthcare needs of our citizens are really ultimately what drives our concern. And those needs today are different than they were when the hospital was created. Today, we have chronic care issues, and the technology of healthcare dramatically shifts how we can, in fact, impact positively the health of our community. And so a delivery system that reflects those changes is absolutely where we should be investing. We're looking forward, we're acknowledging all these trends, we're acknowledging our needs, and that's probably been a point of contention between the folks out in the hallway and ourselves. It's really about recognizing the forward issues that we need to move towards. You know, I love the sports metaphor that in hockey, you skate where the puck is headed, not where it's been, and that's what we're trying to do tonight.
Let me be devil's advocate. People in the hallway get a hold of this current proposal, they look at it, they still don't like it, they move forward with their lawsuit. Is this gonna drag on for a couple of years? Is that your fear at this point?
We acknowledge that. Tom, do you want to comment on that?
I was going to invite our law director. I know that,
Yeah, we do acknowledge the reality that we're dealing with here, but we also acknowledge our responsibilities to make good decisions and take the issues as they come before us. And I don't think we're ignorant of the possibility, but we're not fearful of them either. We have to move forward here in Lakewood.
Other questions? Bruce?
I imagine that this is going to be outlined in what you're giving to us, but you talked about now the Cleveland Clinic is going to bear additional responsibility for the transition costs. How so? What additional responsibility are they taking on?
Well, operating losses that might accelerate healthcare insurance costs, liabilities, a wind down of assets that are going to be written off. There are personnel issues that are being acknowledged. There are a transition of tenants from the medical office building. All these costs are being borne by the clinic, and they're clearing the way for us to make the investments that you're going to grow to understand. And they preserve our ability to not only invest in the future, but create a wonderfully unique opportunity to have a wellness foundation that no community in this region is going to have like we're going to have.
So they're guaranteeing that, I don't remember what the amount is, 34 million or something that is going to be set aside for that healthcare foundation? That's guaranteed, that won't be spent
That's
out?
correct, as we sit now, yes. About 32 million actually.
32?
That's correct.
Next question.
Mayor, what's the jobs equation here? Are there going to be jobs gained, jobs lost? Do we have any forecast on something like that?
Short-term net job loss, probably about 500 or 600 jobs. And we're obviously very concerned. And this deal, as it's proposed and written today, provides significant financial capacity to get our city from where it will be as a result of the job transition to the future. And we'll have a run rate of 5 or 7 years of compensation as a result of all the pieces and parts that give us the time to put the new development in place and attract and replace these jobs. And that was an important element of our concern. We're all recognizing our duties to run a government and be respectful of the pocket of our taxpayers. This deal allows us to do that.
And we got, a 2-page sheet here. I know there's more coming. Can you just give us in a summary from your vantage point as the voice of the city here? I mean, what's the news tonight? Lakewood Hospital's closing, but what's coming in its place? Can you kind of just give us a summary paragraph here?
State-of-the-art outpatient delivery system, including 24/7, 365 days a year emergency care. It's going to allow us to fund a healthcare foundation that allows the citizens to address the soft, non-clinical part of a healthier community. Nutrition, active living and exercise, chronic care issues, addiction, behavioral health, all the things that are plaguing many of our residents. And those are ideas that we can move towards to prevent bad health from happening. So we are clearly building a position to prevent health, and if we have bad health, we're going to be able to acknowledge it earlier and treat it more nimbly and hopefully at a lower cost with a higher quality outcome for our citizens. So this is a massive transition to about prevention and early detection.
But this is also the day that we're learning Lakewood Hospital is closing.
Lakewood Hospital will be closing in an inpatient model, that's correct. Tom?
Is
I would
Councilman
argue
Bullock?
the news tonight is that City Council has concluded its deliberation and is ready to move forward with all of what he described. And Lakewood Hospital is transforming from something that was headed to closure into something that will secure healthcare services for years to come. In sensitivity to the jobs question you asked, I think every elected leader and every member of our community is correctly concerned about that. So the choice that we faced is do nothing and wish for something different, or prepare for transition. And so that we have not a wishful thinking, but a realistic plan with resources reserved, not out of the taxpayer's back pocket, but from the resources of the hospital itself to do redevelopment and therefore attract a mix. So redevelopment and any new job growth won't look like a single large employer as Lakewood Hospital currently does. We'd all love to retain that. But since that is not realistically in the cards, we have to responsibly prepare for replacing it with a mix of things. And in the interim, as the mayor explained, there's a combination of payments to help the city tax revenues essentially transition that time frame. So this is a thoughtful transition plan with several layers of safety net, as it were, built in for the community.
Did any of the scenarios you guys consider include keeping Lakewood Hospital as it is now?
Yes, early on. And
But did it make the finals? I mean, were those the finals?
did not, and here's why. There was no concrete proposal to do such, and this body tried very hard to solicit and invite and resurrect proposals for an inpatient facility to retain Lakewood Hospital, some of which were considered by the Board of Trustees last year. Couldn't get that to happen.
Other questions?
I'm sure this will be in the packet. So the $7 million for the building where it sits now, is that to bring it down or to redevelop it? Redevelop?
Either one. As plans emerge.
Mayor, you gotta use it.
Okay.
Yeah. The good news is we have the flexibility as a result of this proposal to consider all the options.
Okay.
You know, there are pieces of that real estate that we'd love to keep, there are pieces that may not stay, so all those are in front of us.
And so then where does the $34 million Modern Health Family Center, where is that being built?
Across the street, between Bell Avenue and St. Charles and Detroit. It's about a 2.2 acre parcel that will
1.7.
encompass.
1.7 there.
1.7 acre parcel that will encompass the new development.
What's there now?
There is a medical office building and a parking garage.
It's on the south side.
If you don't mind, that was actually the subject of my comments this evening. You heard me reference the office building that's only about 25% occupied currently, as well as the parking garage that represents about a $5 million albatross around the city's neck in repairs going forward. So as the mayor mentioned, this $7 million fund is really a tremendous opportunity for the city to pursue economic development on its own terms, on its own timetable, and for its own needs.
Any other questions?
I don't know who would be the best to answer this, but the vote from November that voters put forth here, how does that factor into all of this tonight? I mean, are voters going to weigh in on some level with this? Is that, you offer some clarity on that?
Yeah, we can, that was a proposed change to our charter. That it was a charter change that would have forced a referendum for any decision to be made about the hospital. And
So
it
is
was
that applicable,
defeated.
Mary?
No, it was
Okay.
defeated.
It was defeated, I'm
It was
sorry.
defeated. No,
Sorry.
that's okay. It was defeated and defeated 52-48, 53-47. Well, we are going to have a 7:30 council meeting, and I hope if you can, to stick.
So
Stick.
one more, so three readings,
Yes, sir. 3 readings. Tonight is the first reading.
next reading will be,
Will be a week from tonight. We'll
Okay,
call
so-
a special council meeting, and then the third, which will be the second reading, the third reading will be on the 21st of December.
And
So
at that-
we'll have full 3 readings. That meant a lot to all of us, that it had 3 full readings.
and so at that point.
It was very important to this body that that was not, that like any other piece of legislation we would consider, and we have a great record of doing 3 readings. Some councils do their business in less than 3, fewer than 3
Right.
readings. That was a very important part of it.
At that point, done deal, what about the lawsuit? Will that impact?
I can't speak
Yeah,
to the lawsuit.
Law Director
Yeah,
Butler
we
can
have-
probably take that more specifically.
This is Law Director Kevin Butler.
Law Director of City of Lakewood.
Thanks very much. Your question was, will the lawsuit impact whatever council is doing?
Is there something in the lawsuit that can roadblock your vote and keep this deal from happening?
We don't anticipate that the lawsuit is going to prevent any of the legislative action that is being contemplated tonight from occurring. We don't know what's going to happen with respect to any litigation. No one does, but we don't anticipate that's going to happen. It hasn't thus far. There have been efforts made to stop the legislative process, and they have failed. So we don't anticipate that any such efforts in the future will be successful. I do want to point out one thing, and probably in response to Mr. Tice's question. Tonight is the first of 3 readings, as you heard. No agreement to do anything is going to be effective until council adopts this ordinance. That doesn't happen normally in the municipal legislative process until after the last reading, and that in Lakewood's case is the 3rd reading. So it is fair to say that this deal does certain things. We've got to be cautious about making sure that those things would only happen after council actually adopts the ordinance on 3rd and final reading and the contract is signed by the parties. I just want to be clear on that. Thanks.
Thank you. And our auditorium, as most of you know, is just right down the hall, and we'll be starting our council meeting right at 7:30.
And I have press packets here for you to take
Thank
with
you.
you.